Hi, everybody. I'm so excited you get to join us today for our Lean Six Sigma program. My name is Zach. I'm going to be your facilitator throughout this course. Uh, I come from a background of being a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt facilitator, so I facilitate Lean Six Sigma all around the world in different industries. And it's an incredible opportunity to come back and help professionals gain credentials at an affordable and effective means and making it accessible around the world. Um, so, this is kind of a gift to you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. This program itself uh, is where basically my career kind of starts is developing these programs and traveling around the world and giving the capability of professional development at an affordable cost. And from there, I take proceeds of this and donate it back to people and trying to make a difference in the world. So, a few things that we're going to go into. We're going to go into the introduction into Lean Six Sigma, along with understanding the voice of the customer. And so, when we talk about the voice of the customer, looking at it from a business perspective and trying to help you understand the direction of where Lean Six Sigma can take us as professionals around the world. In the next module, we'll go over history of lean manufacturing and develop it in a way to look at from lean manufacturing all the way to total quality management systems. We'll hear things about the Toyota as well as Ford, and we'll talk a lot about Henry Ford's involvement in helping make industries in other countries that we are at war with more efficient, utilizing Lean Six Sigma principles. We'll also talk about subject figures such as Deming, Crosby, and Sheward, helping you understand the basis of Lean Six Sigma and where it evolved and where it is now. That's the purpose of Module 2. Module 3, we're going to talk about the defined phase tools, things such as CTQ, which stands for critical to quality, the Kano analysis, as well as other tools of the defined phase. Here's the thing. Thank you so much for joining with us today. I want to talk to you about the importance of Lean Six Sigma in our professional lives. Whether you're a student preparing to enter the workforce or a seasoned professional looking to enhance your skills, understanding Lean Six Sigma can truly set you apart. So, why do we need Lean Six Sigma? Well, let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a world where every process, every system, every product is optimized for efficiency and quality. That's the world Lean Six Sigma aims to create. It's about eliminating waste, reducing variation, and ultimately delivering greater value to customers. In today's competitive landscape, organizations are constantly striving to do more with less. They want to deliver products and services that not only meet but exceed customer expectations. That's what Lean Six Sigma comes in. It provides a structured approach to problem solving and process improvement that can help organizations achieve their goal. But it's not just about bottom line. Lean Six Sigma is about empowering people. It gives individuals the tools and techniques they need to drive change and make a real difference in their organization. By becoming proficient in Lean Six Sigma, you're not just enhancing your resume, you're also equipping yourself with the skills to become catalysts for positive change in the world. Moreover, Lean Six Sigma is a universal language, whether you're in manufacturing, healthcare, finance, or any other industries. The principles of Lean Six Sigma apply. So, by mastering Lean Six Sigma, you're not just preparing yourself for a career, you're preparing yourself for a job that knows no bounds, a career that holds no bounds, Implementing and giving Lean Six Sigma opportunities to employers to improve their organization creates value in you as a process improvement professional. In conclusion, Lean Six Sigma is not just a methodology, it's a mindset. It's about constantly striving for improvement, both in our professional lives and in the world around us. So I encourage each and every one of you to embrace Lean Six Sigma, to learn its principles, and to apply them in your daily lives. Together, we can create a world that is leaner, more efficient, and ultimately successful. So here's the thing. Why do we need Lean Six Sigma? In a nutshell, it increases and it enhances efficiency in organization. It reduced waste. It can improve quality and customer satisfaction, and it can cultivate a culture of continuous improvement. When we think about continuous improvement, change for the better. This is what we aim to strive for in Lean Six Sigma. So I get asked, why do we need Lean Six Sigma? But what's the difference between the two? Well, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, and others out there. Lean is about leaning out your organization and trimming out the waste, the wasted time, the wasted products, the wasted of defects in an organization, the wasted amount of communication. Getting rid of that waste and streamlining your operation to create speed and efficiency is key. And when we talk about Six Sigma, this is where we're talking about the variation in our process and how much our process deviates from the expected outcome. Six Sigma is a methodology that aims to improve processes by systematically identifying and reducing variations and defects. Originally developed by Motorola in 1980s, Six Sigma has been widely adopted by organizations around the world, including companies like General Electric and Ford Motor Companies. The term Six Sigma refers to a level of quality that results in only 3.4 defects per million opportunities. Achieving this level of quality requires a disciplined, data-driven approach that focuses on understanding and improving processes. Throughout this lesson, we'll learn how Six Sigma practitioners can use a variety of statistical tools and techniques to analyze data and make informed decisions. I want to give you guys a case study here. So we have Sally, and Sally is a business owner of a flower shop. Essentially, when you think about Sally's cost, we talk a lot about cost and minimizing these issues in an organization to cut down on costs, because ultimately, who winds up inheriting those costs? Well, ultimately, the customer, because things trickle down. Those cost of qualities or cost of defects are going to trickle down. So when we think about Sally's cost, I want you to think about the vases, the cost of those, the cost of the flowers, what other vendors she has. Maybe comparing her staff, her labor and wages. What are some overhead costs, right? Such as utility bills, cable, advertising, maybe some things like that, right? And then, what are Sally's taxes? And so this allows us to understand the process for continuous improvement. Our job, if we get hired for Sally, is to use our continuous improvement process improvement steps, it's a mouthful there, to improve your organization. Sally has issues with vases being broken. Therefore, she needs Lean Six Sigma to really improve the process and create a better quality product for her customer. So Sally really needs to use Lean Six Sigma to improve her processes. Lean Six Sigma comes about based off of the DMAIC framework, and we'll talk about other frameworks throughout the course. However, the DMAIC framework is a roadmap for continuous improvement projects. No matter what the process is, the consistency of process improvement and the structure of it creates a sense of a need for self-improvement, and how do we document and manage the process by controlling the variation. The DMAIC system is one framework inside Lean Six Sigma, as the DMAIC system is a core component of it. It's a method for improving processes by eliminating defects and inefficiencies in an organization. It's about interconnectedness. Each phase builds upon the previous one, creating a comprehensive approach to process improvement. Overall, when utilizing the DMAIC framework, it's a good tool that we can utilize to do continuous improvement activities. Now, the DMAIC framework stands for define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Right? Define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Throughout this lesson, we're going to go into this with more detail. In the define phase of Lean Six Sigma, the primary goal is to clearly define the problem or opportunity for improvement. This phase sets the foundation for the entire project and ensures that there's team alignment, along with those team alignment going with the goals and objectives of the organization. The key steps in the define phase include several different things. And throughout this lesson in define and throughout the whole course, we'll learn about the tools of Lean Six Sigma and the tools of the define phase. You know, when we talk about identifying problems in an organization, this is where the define phase really starts to shine. Now, the characteristics of it, it involves clearly defining the problem or goal. The stakeholder aspect of it and understanding the different types of stakeholders in an organization and identifying all of them to understand what their needs and expectations are. Project charter creation is we're developing a project charter that outlines the scope, goals, timeline, and team roles. And the voice of the customer, where we're gathering and analyzing customer requirements and their expectations. Utilizing this, we can understand the defined phase, and we can use it to build upon a solid foundation for our continuous improvement activity. Going back to Sally, Sally defines her problem. Broken vases are causing a high number of issues. If your product's not good, you're not going to have a good customer. And so thinking about the customer loss aspect of it. Broken vases are causing a high number of issues. This is going to equal customer loss, because over time, if you're not giving your customer better quality and a better product at a lesser cost, they're going to move on to someone else. So Sally takes this very seriously as a business owner. So going through and kind of, she needs to go from defining the problem to now putting it into quantifiable terms, meaning, you know, how do I put the numbers on paper to make sure we're in the positive as an organization in layman's terms. So thinking about Lean Six Sigma from the customer's perspective, she allows us to understand the voice of the customer. No matter what, if you're not listening to what's good for your customer, someone else will be. So creating products that are accessible and affordable is the key. But focusing on quality should be every organization's attempt to first look at, right? When you look at quality of a product, you base this off of what the voice of the customer is. The voice of the customer is a term used in business and quality management to describe the process of capturing customers' requirements, expectations, understanding, and product development feedback. And so, looking at this, Sally then takes her problem and puts it into more quantifiable terms. That's where the measurement phase kicks in. The measurement phase is created during the define phase to gather data and track metrics. Now, some characteristics of the measurement phase is data collection, process mapping, baseline performance, and statistical analysis. During this phase, this is where we're really going to get into the data and understanding what is the cost of losing those customers. What is the cost of improving the process? That's something we can always take a look at during the measurement phase. When we put things in quantifiable terms, it helps us as professionals create data that's understandable. And so from there, we can use that data and, Lean Six Sigma is a way where we use data to understand the process. And with the measurement phase, we can understand what metrics we're losing or what is important to the customer, and wrapping around the measurement phase, around the define phase is key. So just like Sally with her number of customer loss, right? When she's looking at, the customer loss, she then looks at her, what's the measurement of her problem. So out of these 10 vases, 3 of these vases are bad. In Lean Six Sigma, we can use something such as the defect percentage or the yield percentage to understand our metrics, our performance metrics, and these are basic terminology. So if we look at the defect percentage, it would essentially be what? 3 out of 10 products bad. And then you have something called a defect percentage, which is the ratio. That leads us to 30% defect percentage. If we were looking at the yield percentage, it's the same numbers, but it's different. So we're still using that outcome of 10. Now we're looking at the number of good products, which in this case is 7. 7 out of 10 times 100 is 70%. Think about that. Only 70% of your product is good. That's going to damage your relationship with customers. Essentially, you're throwing 30% down the drain. Is 70% the best quality you can give your customer? And the answer is no. You can do better than 70% accuracy, definitely. That's where we can utilize Lean Six Sigma. So now that Sally's kind of gone through and measured her problem, what about the next phase in the DMAIC system? Well, that's where you have the analyze phase. In the analyze phase, we understand, we try to find what's the impact and understanding how this process is affected. So diving into the analyze phase, it's kind of like understanding the root cause of issues so we can fix them and improve. Now, the analyze phase is about identifying the root cause of problems. During the root cause of it, it helps us understand the process, and then we can improve off of it. Some characteristics of the analyze phase is root cause analysis. data analysis, a gap analysis where you're understanding what's the desired performance level, and then what are the standards and how are you meeting that current performance wise. And then identification of areas for improvement, pinpointing specific areas where changes will have the most impact on a process. During the improvement phase, this is where we're implementing solutions to eliminate the root cause. Some characteristics that we'll talk about are solution development. How do you brainstorm and select solutions to resolve the root cause? Design of experiments, testing potential solutions to see their effect on the process. And from that design of the experiment, you're testing the validity of it. From there, you're putting together a documented implementation plan and piloting the study, meaning you're running a small scale test to validate the effectiveness of that solution. Overall, the improvement phase is where you start to really put together the team on maybe not just the team, but the organization as a whole to improve the process. During this phase, you're not going to see the benefits right away. It may take time after you standardize a process or create a better quality product for your customer. It may take time to see that change take place. Overall, when Sally looked at her process and found the key metrics, she was able to track it down to the cause. One thing that I usually see a lot of at first is finger pointing, right? Reducing that. And remember that sometimes the answer isn't to assign blame, but to work together to solve the issue. And remember that sometimes problems aren't going to be what they seem. And essentially in this scenario, about 25 feet from their loading bay, there was a bump that was too high. Collaborating with the vendor, they realized that bump was something that was brought up very frequently by the delivery drivers. Essentially, a bump led to broken vases. And working together, they uncovered the real problem of it. Overall, when they improved the quality of their product, customers were happy. When you can improve and create consistent quality, your sales are going to improve. And so that's what happened in Sally's flower shop. One thing I want you guys to take a note is after you do an improvement, one thing I want you to realize is how are you going to sustain that change? And that's what Sally wants to do, is control her process. During the control phase, this is where we're maintaining the improvements and ensuring consistent performance. Some characteristics of this include process monitoring, standardization or uniformity, response plan. If something goes wrong, how are we going to address these variations or laps in the process? And create a continuous improvement activity out of it, regularly reviewing the process performance and seeking opportunities to further enhance their process. In the control phase, there's one thing I want to note. Documentation is key to sustaining the improvement. When you document the successes or defaults of a process, you can create awareness about it. And so implementing that into your standard operating procedure. And we'll talk about that throughout the course. Now, Sally's Flower Shop was a very unique example of how Lean Six Sigma project and collaboration can work. Overall, when Sally focused on what means the most value to her customer or listened to the voice of it, she was able to create a better quality product for her customers. Her flower shop grew and flourished, and she was able to expand her operations. Lean Six Sigma revolves around two things: central tendency and standard deviation. Essentially, central tendency is meaning how does your data cluster around the center, where standard deviation talks about how far apart your data is. Now, the central limit theorem states that as data is collected, it tends to collect or center primarily around the mean or the average. Uh, on average, around 68% of our data is close to the average, meaning if I look at this example here, this is considered an X bar or your average. X bar represents our target point for our operation. What is the average of that data set? Sigma is a statistical term that represents standard deviation of a set of data. So we have our average, our X, and then our sigma values represent the difference or space between or the variation in our process. We can talk about how this becomes a performance metrics later on, but understanding the difference of X bar, which is average, and then looking at the sigma values or the spread in the data. Lean Six Sigma, again, revolves around these two principles: central tendency, which is called the central limit theorem, CLT, and standard deviation, or sigma value. Now, the goal in Lean Six Sigma is simple. It's to reduce waste, improve processes, and create better quality for your customer. Right? When you focus on these three things in Lean Six Sigma, you can do no wrong. Now, remember, this is just one aspect of it, right? The goal in here is to create an organization that's thrivable. That means you have the people component of it, and people are your best resource in a business to help create value for your customer. So listening to the frontline workers, the people that are on the front lines that identify the waste or the decreased value in your operation that customers are no longer interested in. Right? When we reduce that waste, we can improve the process, which means streamlining our approach to increase optimum resource utilization, how to better use our resources, and increase productivity. And when we talk about quality, Lean Six Sigma focuses on continuous improvement to meet and exceed customer expectations for product and service quality. When we look at Lean Six Sigma, the DMAIC framework define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Define is where we're going to identify the problem, set objectives, and outline the scope of the improvement project. Later on during the project management portion, we'll talk more about this program. Talk about more about scope and how to identify and set expectations for projects. In the measurement phase, we're going to collect data to establish a baseline and look at the current performance of the operation. From there, we're going to analyze the data to identify the root cause of problems and determine areas for improvement. And then we're going to improve and develop implementation solutions to address the root cause and enhance process performance. From there, we're going to control the process. We do this by monitoring the improved process to ensure that it gains are sustainable, meaning that our process improvement is continued, and we can establish controls to prevent regression or it falling back to the way things were before. In this lesson, we discussed the framework for success. We talked about Sally's flower shop and how she used the DMAIC system. We talked about the difference between Lean and Six Sigma, and we have the voice of the customer. Oh, I guess my picture should be over here, shouldn't it? So, overall, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we'll see you in the next one.